and our lived experiences. That is where true resilience begins. Let us remember the climate crisis is not just an environmental issue, it is a justice issue. Justice begins with recognition of those already facing the harshest impacts, and recognition of the youth rising to meet this moment with courage, creativity, and clarity. But passion alone is not enough. We need knowledge, we need innovation, we need to blend science with tradition and policy with lived reality. The climate crisis, while urgent and disruptive, must also be seen as a turning point, a catalyst for reimagining Africa's development. We must transform this challenge into an opportunity to build climate smart cities and resilient rural economies, to restore degraded lands while creating green jobs and circular economies, to empower communities, protect ecosystems, and ensure no one is left behind. This is Africa's moment to lead, not just in survival, but transformation. This is dialogue today. It's not just another event. It is a movement, a rising wave of ideas, energy, and leadership flowing from the African continent to the global stage. It affirms what we already know. Young people are not waiting for permission to lead tomorrow. So I encourage you to be bold, think beyond what's been done, be connected, reach across borders, sectors, and generations. Be grounded. Let science, tradition, and justice guide your actions. Be relentless. The planet needs your ideas, your leadership, your hope, now more than ever. Let me close with this African wisdom. Wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it. This gathering and your leadership shows that when we come together, we can embrace even the greatest challenges and grow something strong, lasting, and just. Thank you for your work you do, for the voices you raise, and for the future you are building, not just for Africa, but for the whole world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samuel. That was wonderful from Dr. Asta, who is the chief scientist at ICRAF. Appreciate her on our behalf. Our next keynote is from Martin Kamiri, who is the CEO and founder of Skyrock. So Martin, if you're around, the floor is yours. Martin? Martin, if you can hear us, kindly unmute. Martin, if you can hear us, kindly unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you clear.
All right, wonderful. I'm so sorry about that. So good afternoon, all fellow leaders, esteemed organizers, and global participants. My name is Martin Kamere, and it's a profound privilege to address you today representing Skyrock and the Maritime Initiative, which is a dynamic enterprise. Our core mission is dedicated to forging holistic most pressing challenges. Today, I do not only speak on behalf of, which is a pioneer man's honor to dynamic young climate leaders and global change makers, and crucial and to the urgent need for decisive climate action across our continent, and offers a transformative opportunity for transformative change. When we look at climate change versus the Kenyan youth, we find ourselves at a very unique crossroads. The paradox is that we are undeniably one of the most climate vulnerable regions in the world. Our people face a relentless onslaught of environmental adversities like prolonged droughts that parch fertile lands, unpredictable floods, and displaced communities. Devastating swarms of locusts and rapidly shifting weather patterns are are a threat, really. And they're not just a threat to livelihood, but also farmlands. But our collective security, health, and economic stability as well is affected. These are not theoretical or distant risks. They are daily realities that disrupt families, shatter livelihoods, and destabilize the entire economies. Yet, in the midst of our profound adversity, Kenya, and especially our vibrant young population, displays an unmatched ingenuity and resilience and adaptability, because we see ourselves kind of adapt to a lot of these changes. Every single day at Skyrock, we bear witness to the remarkable ways which young people are converting these monumental changes into bold, practical, and scalable solutions. It is precisely these lived experiences on the ground and an undeniable spirit of our youth that compelled us to launch the Maritala Initiative, now an integral and indispensable part of Skyrock. Now, what we do is we deeply recognize the transformative power that emerges from merging social enterprises, enterprise discipline, and authentic grassroots empowerment. Through Maritella, we've effectively and are effectively bridging gaps between cutting edge innovation and pressing community needs, basically delivering tangible impact, right? We are designing and converting rooftops. As you can see here, this is one of our designs, and designing rooftops to vibrant green forest or community food locations where people can get foods in an urban environment. That's natural food, natural green food that is not affected by pesticides and such. In addition to that, one of the benefits that we see to this is naturally cooling of the environment and improved air quality, fostering a community cohesion that is undeniable. We also see that 20% of our city food supplies when produced in an urban environment like that, can reduce heat by affecting several degrees of Celsius. We also mentor young entrepreneurs. We equip them with climate change and smart skills to be knowledgeable in how to sustainably irrigate, or like sustainable irrigation techniques, advance and improve seed technology, and regenerative agricultural practices. These are meticulously designed to be used on the farm, whether urban or rural. But most effectively, they're resilient. They produce a climate resilient shock in the urban areas. A study by Kenyan Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization indicates that farmers adopting climate smart practices experience a 15 to 20% increase in yields, even during periods of drought, which is really, really important. We work hand in hand with rural and urban communities, and together we restore vital green corridors, actively halt rampant land degradation, and diversify livelihoods by introducing sustainable income generating activities rooted in ecological restoration. Our data from pilot projects shows that community-led tree planting initiatives have achieved a remarkable seedling survival rate of about 80%, significantly higher than large-scale top-down approaches. We actively partner with government and private sector and other non-governmental organizations to operationalize the profound understanding that true lasting progress stems from genuine collaboration, not counterproductive competition. So we tend not to use a model of competition when it comes to climate solutions, we partner a lot, and we invite you all to consider a partnership with the Maritale Initiative or Skyrock Health Agency. Now, the criticality of the agriculture sector comes from the very backbone of the nation's economy. The agricultural sector is our social fabric in Kenya. And the studies from that come from a direct production of 20% of the domestic GDP, or the gross domestic product. This underscores the colossal contribution by the agricultural sector to the national wealth. The agricultural sector employs 40% of our total population and supports 70% of rural livelihoods. Yet, this vital sector, while squarely on the front lines for climate impact, the volatile weather patterns have already inflicted devastating losses, directly affecting millions of lives. Like we have said, the amount of lives that are employed by the agricultural sector and the livelihoods that are supported by the agricultural sector are directly inflicted by that, and the loss of livelihood. The National Climate Action Plan, that's NCCAP of 2018 to 2022, estimated that climate change could cost Kenya a total of 3% of its GDP by 2030 if no adaptive measures are taken. But this crisis, dire as it is also a resounding call to action. Crucially, an unparalleled invitation for strategic investment to and collaborative partnership with Kenya's 75%, which is the youth. A population under the age of 35 represents an immense and largely untapped force for innovation and sustained development. However, they face formidable barriers. Some of the barriers that they do face is kind of limited access to finance, insufficient technical support, and fragmented market linkages. And a recent report by World Bank indicated 4% of youth-led businesses in Kenya do not have access to formal credit. But this is where Skyrock and the Maritale Initiative do come in, because we are strategically positioned to bridge these gaps by empowering the youth with cutting-edge climate smart skills. And what I mean by that is our agripreneur training program are rigorously designed to empirically prove the significant boost of agricultural yields and increase in income. We also facilitate direct access to green and climate finance, and also champion large-scale green spaces. To our esteemed financiers and dedicated development partners, influential international agencies, we are calling upon you to invest in Kenya's youth, climate smart agriculture, because it's not merely a moral imperative, it's also a pretty sound business decision. The strategic capital that is deployed today has the power to rapidly reduce future climate-related risks, dramatically increase food and job security across the continent. Like we have looked at those numbers, 70% of livelihoods in Kenya being supported by the agricultural sector is really good. And we also call upon you to consider 5-1 or 20% ROI on investment. To our youth, we ask you to let go of the misconception that agriculture is a sector for last resort. Instead, embrace it as a dynamic frontier for technological advancement, boundless entrepreneurship, and vital climate resilience. As we have looked at those numbers that we've seen there, there's an untapped market for increased revenue when it comes to the agricultural sector. Now, to our partners, the NGOs, government bodies, and the UN in general, we urge you to help us build robust and enabling environments, including providing essential technical support for crafting friendly and supportive policies, and help us also advocate for green policies when it comes to our thing. We need these policies to streamline access to land, innovative financing models, and a framework that recognizes and supports youth-led agricultural vectors. Right now, we stand truly at a pivotal crossroads in Kenya. Right now, we're in a place where we can make Kenyan history. So we ask you to consider joining us, really, even just for action. This is the future that we have for Kenya. A lot of green spaces, whether rural or urban. We look forward to building this together with you guys, especially the youth. We love the youth at Maritella. So thank you very much. And we ask you to to contact us directly through the email. And we're more than happy to answer any questions that we can. Forward to interacting with each one of you. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Martin, for that amazing keynote on what you're doing at Skyrock. It's an amazing job. Just to further on, in the interest of time, one of our keynotes plans to be around. So, Samuel, I urge you to just go on and invite Madam Jacqueline from RCMRD to say her words before we go on. Samuel?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, my window was misbehaving. So thanks for that, Martin, and we're happy for the Maritella initiative. I'm happy being part of it, and we're ready to transform lives. At this juncture, I take this privilege to welcome Dr. Jacqueline Suna, specialist at the Regional Center for Mapping and Development. Kindly, you're welcome to this platform. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's an honor to be invited to be part of this noble occasion. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Samuel. I'm called Jacqueline Nasuna. I'm a Ugandan, but working in Kenya for an international regional organization called Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development. We deal in using geospatial tools to solve development challenges. Example is climate change, agriculture. Our organization is comprised of 21 member states. And I can proudly say that it's about 80% or even 90% youthful. So I'm the gender and indigenous peoples and local community specialist. So I'm honored to be part of this engagement. It's both humbling and inspiring to be part of today's gathering. My apologies, I don't have anything to present, but I will try to put my words within the stipulated time that I was given. But I want to thank my predecessors. They were really very innovative. Victoria, I love art with all my heart. And human beings are very visual. So art is one of the best ways you can put across a message. And I would urge the youth to really utilize their skill in art. And here at RCMLD, we are basically, this is a digital era. So we use a lot of geospatial tools, satellite images. So the youth are really doing very good work. So climate change, as we all know it, is no longer knocking on Africa's doors. It's already inside our homes. It floods our farms, dries our rivers, and forces our families to migrate. But while the crisis is global, its burden is unjustly local, disproportionately affecting the very communities who contributed the least to it, and that is Africa, and that is the youth. According to Africa Union and World Bank sources, youth belong to an age bracket, some say it is 15 to 24, but according to Africa Union and World Bank sources, it is It is 15 to 35. And Africa is the home to the youngest population in the world. So you can imagine the future really belongs to the youth. And this is the right time for the youth to act. So I want to speak to you today, not just about the challenge, but about the transformation already underway. Some of the keynote speakers have already shared very good examples of good work that is being used to transform our societies. So it's you, the youth. You are not the lead. You're not the leaders of tomorrow. You are the decision makers of today. And if there's one truth we must commit to, is justice without youth is incomplete, and climate solutions without equity is ineffective. So youth innovation is not optional, but it is essential. I'll give a few examples that I've come across which are really trending. For example, we have the Green Generation Initiative in Nairobi. The founder is Elizabeth Wathuti. And what does it do? Tree planting in schools, environmental education, and ecosystem restoration. The impact it has done, they've planted over 30,000 trees, or maybe more. There is active youth participation and climate education. Then another example is Recycle Up in Ghana, in Accra and Kumasi, in Accra and Kumasi in Ghana, and it's led by Ghanaian university students. What does it do? Youth-led camps that teach plastic waste reduction and innovation to increase awareness of environmental issues among the youth who will be future leaders and change makers. So the impact it has had is community cleanup campaigns and recycled product prototypes. If some of you watched yesterday's news, I'm based here in Nairobi. There was a lot of good work that is being done by youth, and they were using this, recycling these plastic bottles. You know the menace that they have caused. They clog our water bodies. They are really a big problem. And they are educating communities, especially in the, what we can call the densely populated areas, because most of the time you find that there's a high level of pollution. So they are teaching them how to sort this waste, and they are really doing a lot of good work. So also we have an example in Cape Town. I wanted to give examples at least to distribute, because we talk about equity. There's one called Recycle in Cape Town and Johannesburg, that is South Africa. It is a digital platform focused on incentivizing recycling through mobile payments. The platform aims to empower informal waste collectors and youth entrepreneurs by providing a digital system for waste collection payments. So it empowers informal waste collectors and youth entrepreneurs. So innovation does not require permission. It demands imagination. Like, I love the way Victoria is very imaginative. And many of you here today are building the future with your bare hands. The world must move from tokenism to true trust in youth capability. Then we have that aspect of indigenous. Indigenous wisdom is not absolute. It is our compass. Many of us have forgotten our traditions, our culture. I also happen to be a PhD student in anthropology, and my area of study is food safety, and I'm dealing with dairy farming in the semi-arid and arid areas in Kenya. But what is coming out from my observation, you know, climate change is not something that is new, especially to pastoralists. They've always dealt with climate change. They have the adaptation strategies. So can we go down and really value our cultures? The herbs that they use, there's a lot that we can use. Even the modern medicine incidentally uses most of our indigenous products. And the sad thing is that our youth think that this indigenous knowledge is either backward, and they are so much into the modern way of doing things. And yet we can combine, like one of the previous speakers mentioned, we can combine both indigenous and scientific knowledge. We should not forget where we come from. And actually, this world is maintained by the indigenous peoples. It is their work, it is this forest that they maintain. They are the ones who are currently maintaining the global climate. Without them, we are nothing. So we must elevate indigenous knowledge alongside modern science. They are not in conflict, they are complementary, and youth have a unique bridge building role in amplifying these voices. Then also, when it comes to policy spaces are not just for experts. You, the youth, must be part of this policy. From COP summits to city councils, to many climate decisions are made without people who are most affected. It's time to democratize these spaces. Climate justice means access to funding, to technology, to negotiation tables, and it means holding governments accountable, not just for emissions, but for equity. Your advocacy as the youth matters. Your voice, when raised collectively, can rewrite policies and reimagine systems. So you should participate in policies. This is your time. It's time for you to rise. So, as I close, this is my call to action. So I ask you, what commitment will you make today that your future self will thank you for? Okay? What story will you carry from this forum into your community? And what collaboration may be born in these breakout rooms that we are going to have today that changes a village or a country? Thank you very much, and God bless. And let today not be the end of the discussion, but the beginning of a youth movement. The planet is not asking for perfection, it is asking for courage. And today I see an ocean of it in this very engagement. Thank you. Let's build the future together.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, for that amazing keynote right there. It's an encouragement that we ought to take action and be bold in our actions. In the interest of time, we're going to go to the next session, which is Youth Spotlight. We're going to have a few youths who requested and who showed interest in showing us what they do in terms of climate justice, in terms of climate action. Because as we know, young people are not just the leaders of tomorrow, but the drivers of change, as Madam Jacqueline and the previous speakers have said. So I want to invite just a few spotlights who we have in mind that are going to share with us what they're doing in terms of climate change, share with us what they're doing in terms of climate justice, and we're going to be encouraged by that. So our first youth spotlight is from Mohammed Rafiq, who is the founder of our Bina Scholars Hub from Malaysia. So Mohammed, if you are in, go ahead. Mohammed? It seems that he's not around, so we're going to go to the next person, who is George Boge, who is the founder of Kijani Hub from Kenya. George?
Good afternoon, Daniel, and good afternoon to my fellow citizens of the United Nations. Just as Daniel has mentioned, I am the founder and CEO currently of Kijani Hub. And maybe I quickly go to what Kijani Hub is and what we do there. So I'm currently sharing my screen. So this is Kijani Hub. It's a platform and a software that is used for tracking biodiversity. And we have over 30,000 species currently in Kenya, which need to be tracked, and it will be almost impossible to track them with the modern or the conventional way of using trackers, of sending officers down to the ground to just get the animals physically and tracking them. So the best way we came up with was rather a software which can do all these at the comfort of anybody, whether it's a ranger or a normal citizen or even a foreigner. They can use it to track biodiversity anywhere in the world. So here you can have the report incident button also, which is a feature similarly for conserving the environment, reporting environmental incidents around the globe. This is a map courtesy of leaflet from Ukraine that is displaying the entire globe, and we can clearly see area that we are in. Maybe I just share my current location. Okay, there was some noise there, but my location is currently turned off. But you can get to see that Kijani Hub is trying to access the location, and using this data, just as RCMRD does, we can get the exact coordinates of where the environmental incident was happening and how best we can use this data to conserve the environment. Once I go back to the dashboard, we created an AI dashboard that displays the number of species and where these species are found. This AI dashboard is used for easily managing and conserving data that is from different sources, mainly from our partners like iNaturalist, who are giving us real-time data. This is real-time. The last species that has been tracked in the globe right now is just 19 minutes ago from an unknown location that's through a naturalist, and we can clearly see these are the species that have just been tracked within the past 6 hours. And there are around so many around the globe, but in Africa, we are still missing. There are just some few reportations or some few observations that have been made today in the last 6 hours. And using this, we can see there is no disease outbreak as of the last 6 hours. There's no wildlife encroachment that has been reported as the last 6 hours, and also there's no pest invasion that has been reported in the last 6 hours. And that's a good sign that we are doing a lot in conserving and preserving our environment. Also, there are other features of Kijani Hub such as the blog and news, which we can get verified environmental news. This was a recommendation, and it was well presented by the the ZESH ambassador, who commended it wisely that there is currently um, there's currently no platform that's giving verified environmental news or matters climate change. And here are just some of the spotlights and youth spotlights, which I'm hoping anyone who is interested and like their blog out there, they can just link up with me. And apart from that, also, we have fun and games now for the young ones. They should not be left out in matters environmental conservation. There are so many games that we have developed together with my friends who are currently doing this stuff. And we have come up with so many games to teach the young ones on how to conserve the environment easily. My favorite game also is the Kijani Shark, which is something I'm still doing, being part of the Global Youth Ambassadors Forum by their world in the United Kingdom. This is some of the things that we are doing. They are assisting the young ones to get aware or to get information on how best they can conserve their environment. Away from that, like now to move on personally, what I've been doing, this was for Kijani Hub.
George, kindly consider time. 2 minutes left.
Okay, thank you very much. Currently, this is what I've been doing. I've been having some simulations from the National Space Agency, whereby we're doing humanitarian assistance in Northern Kivu, that's in Congo. Currently, I'm also doing the same, trying to prevent nuclear warfare within the globe via ICANN, which is a nice initiative from Europe. And we are having sessions all the way from Japan that are currently running. And call of action, just as it was mentioned, is for us as the youth that we be good stewards and we be the ones to take the mantle in conserving our environment, not only in the grassroots levels, not only in planting trees, but also in preventing nuclear outbreaks that are going to happen maybe in the near future. There is a looming crisis of World War III, and once a nuclear weapon is deployed, it will have adverse consequences to the environment that will take hundreds of years or even hundreds of centuries to come back or to restore it. So before that happens, we as the youth can advocate for that. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, George, for that amazing spotlight on what you're doing in terms of climate action and environmental conservation. It's an amazing invention. From what I can see is you're trying to track biodiversity, which is one of the major things that we ought to do in terms of climate change. Our next keynote comes from Henok Mengesha, who is the founder and CEO of Ethiopia African Climate Messengers and environmentalist for sustainability. Henok, if you're around, kindly go ahead. Henok? I call back to Mohammed Rafiq, if you're around. Tony Alu? It's all right. In the interest of time, we are going to go on to the next session, which is breakout rooms, where we're going to be discussing different themes. You're going to be prompted to join a breakout room. Each breakout room has a moderator. You're going to be discussing on based on your interest. So you'll be prompted to join a specific breakout room. And just this is just a guide on how it's going to be. It is a space that is designed for a deeper conversation into what we have started with so far. And this is your chance now to not listen, but to actively engage with the group that you'll be in. We have 5 thematic areas that I mentioned earlier. That is youth-led grassroots solutions. We have climate smart agriculture. We have climate justice and policy influence. We have localizing the SDGs, and we have Africa's climate voice in global spaces. So it is high time now you engage and actively engage in those sessions. And we hope that you're going to have an amazing time in the sessions as you go ahead. You're going to be prompted in a few minutes in a few seconds, that is, to join one of the breakout rooms. So go ahead and join the breakout room and be open to discuss. Gloria, you're trying to say something?
Hello, good afternoon from Kenya. Good evening and morning from all other countries of attendees here. I have an issue with the chat tool. Actually, it has been dormant. We tried to raise the issue in the chat in the WhatsApp group, but it seems like Samburu has not yet seen. Kindly correct it when we get back so that we can able to share. Or maybe ask a question or request for some connections. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we are working on that. Thank you for clarifying that. Kindly, the rest of you, let us join a breakout room so that we can further the discussions. If you've not joined a breakout room, kindly join a breakout room. In the interest of time. We still have 82 participants who have not joined a breakout room. Kindly join a breakout room so that they can begin. For those who are asking how to join the breakout room, there is a prompt on your screen that is asking you to join a meeting, a breakout room that is. We still have 53 participants who have not joined a breakout room.
Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Please pardon.
There is a prompt on your screen that is prompting you to join a breakout room. Kindly choose one of the breakout rooms that you want to join.
Okay.
I hope everyone has been able to join the breakout room.
task force, which is where comes from, that is environmental science in Kenyatta University, and also business administration
meeting
of the
kiko happy
people in California. So I'd like to open the forum. For me, I created Kijani, which I've already presented. I'd like to start with Martin Onyango.
Oh, thank you so much, George. I am Martin Onyango, born and raised in Siaya County, Kenya. I am an accountant by profession, currently pursuing my second degree in economics. I'm the founder and the director of Young Agrarian Movement, a youth-led organization based here in Siaya County. Currently, we are running several projects, and one of them is a One Child, One Tree initiative, where we are targeting to plant trees across the schools in the West Wyoma ward. We are also 4K club in all the schools in West Wyoma ward. It is pleasure.
Kindly join a breakout room. If you're experiencing any issues, kindly speak up so that we can assign you to a breakout room. Adams, Alpha, Crispin.
Hey.
Hello.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I would like to be assigned to a room.
What's your name? Kindly say your name so that we can assign you.
Oh, Kelo Jolly Jasper.
What room would you like to be assigned to? We have youth-led grassroots solutions. We have climate smart agriculture. We have climate justice. We have SDGs, and we have Africa's climate voice.
Climate justice.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Anyone else who is having
Sorry,
issues?
sorry, Daniel. Can you hear me, right?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think this is the breakage room. Yeah. Even if can let me join. If you can share me breakout room rooms, I can join it. So I didn't see it. Yeah. Anyone?
There is a prompt.
Yes, there is a problem. I didn't see breakout room that much. If you
Which one would you like to join? Because I think the prompt kind of disappeared if you didn't join
Africa.
early. Africa Climate Voice? Okay.
Yeah, climate voice, right. Amazing. Major. Also, you should please also again. So I would like to highlight for you. So if you can activate the chat toolbox here in order to show them to write to typing them, so it should be right. So I didn't see it. Yeah. Then yeah, should be right.
Excuse me.
Doing so in a few. Sending you right to climate justice.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
I would also love to be assigned to a room.
Which room would you like to?
Climate justice, please.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
I'm George. Hello.
Sorry.
Getting me? As I'm George.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, I would love to be on the George, please. You got me? Hello?
What room would you like to be assigned to?
Climate justice.
Okay.
Can usher in Stephen to
lead the discussion again.
even the insects.
Yes.
And it's like you see the beekeepers, when you use pesticides, the bees die when they visit the crops. So while you do rotation of different crops, it improves the soil health without disrupting any pest cycles, and without interfering in any other agribusiness. We also have the issue of agroforestry, which I see beekeepers around trying to incorporate bee-friendly trees to save the bees and to improve the biodiversity by when the bees visit different kinds of plants. And
Are you having any issues with joining breakout rooms? Kindly share so that you are assigned to a breakout room.
Yes, Julius.
Oh, hello. My name is Julius Kongo from Kenya, and I'm very honored to be with you. And thank you for engaging us as our moderator. You are doing it very well. And also to the team that you are led by Samuel Mboro. Now, I think youth participation in climate, it is engaging young people in climate
of these agreements and all the efforts that are being made. So I think if Africa itself can develop binding agreements towards these climate action aspects, then even the voice itself will have some sort of strength to be able to question or to be able to pin down someone or a party that you promised to do this, and here you are binded to deliver. And I think this way, most of the countries or parties that are promising to deliver something into the climate action, I think will be held accountable.
We think it's very cheap, but adding on, and we need to bring all sorts of people into action so that we can maybe achieve the sustainable development solutions. So my organization is based in Nyamira County, and what we do is we use arts and talent to talk about climate change or to fight against climate change and all the sustainable development goals. So we deal with SDG 13, SDG 17, we deal with health, we deal with water and climate and water accessibility. So across all these, what do? We identify young and desperate talents from the age of 9 years and above. So these talents, after identification, we start nurturing the talents, we mentor the talents, and after mentoring the talents, we actually we use such like platforms in marketing these young talents, because we need to engage them in maybe very, very confidential conversation like this one, so that they can grow up knowing that it's a personal responsibility maybe to conserve the environment. And after writing, already we have compiled and published 2 anthologies of poetry, whereby it's a project.
Instead of charcoal burning, why don't we start processing these seeds for ourselves? And of course, when they're going out there grazing and all that, they'll find a good acacia tree that has probably just sprouted and the seeds are out. They will take the seeds and now start drying them and make a seed ball for themselves. So we have been able to bridge the gap of not getting funds, especially international funds, but we are now able to come to the normal common wananchi. We do soliciting. We'll go to your organization and ask you, hey, this is what we are doing in Wajir. This is what we are envisioning. And can you join us? Even if it is through advertisement, are you going to support us? Are you able to support us to spread this news out there? And I've actually seen an impact in it. I'm open to more ideas as a fundraising personnel for this organization. I'm open to more ideas of how can we raise funds to make sure that the projects that we are undertaking are not stalling just because we don't have money to run it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Lilian Kagoche. I have a very short question. What was the name of the initiative that you are talking about?
My organization is called Green Globe Realization, and the initiative is wetland restoration. And the project that we are undertaking right now is the Lorian Swamp restoration through seed balling and of course tree planting. That is the main project that we have. But we also have other projects. One is called School Greening Program, whereby we now mobilize all the schools that are around to make sure that they have a greening project through eco clubs.
Water management is very key. So the integration of technology to into the agriculture is also another aspect in which climate smart agriculture is engaging.
Technology used in smart agriculture in Gambia. You know, Gambia is one of desert areas. Yeah, they use that. You can also explain for us technology, huh?
So I didn't hear you clearly.
Okay.
Yes, like I was saying, yeah, in the area of technology, like there's this NGO that developed like a app where you could be at anywhere.
Develop what?
And
develop what? I want to then. It develop what?
An app. I forget the name of the application, but like yes.
You know, the youth face a lot of financial resources, and let's not lie that conversations, especially on climate, they're being held in countries whereby it's pretty much unfair, especially for youth such as I coming from the global south. You can imagine trying to deal with travel cost for lack of funding. You have limited access to some of the finance mechanism when it comes to climate, which is really difficult. So this reduces the level and the number of youth who can participate. The other one I can talk about, and I think I had still mentioned it, was the matters concerning age-based discrimination, where you go somewhere, you represent on something, and everybody's looking at you at the room like you're such an inexperienced person. What are you talking about? You don't know exactly what you're saying. You're still young, and now it has been used as a symbolic for minimal real decision-making power, especially to the youth. So those two would be my top two amongst all of them.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Mincom technology can proceed kindly.
Yeah, I was trying to say that also political very have an idea about them. And I work with Animal IQ. And what we are doing, our work, basically we are supporting, we are trying to educate people on the Sustainable Development Goal number 15, which is life on land. So therefore we do promote protection of animals and wildlife conservation through educating the local communities on how to live with animals. So I think that is what I was about to talk about. Also, we have programs that we do educate young people in schools about animal care. We have projects whereby we are supposed to have small clubs that teach the young people in schools about wildlife conservation, and the conservation of the environment just in general. We participate in what do I call them? We participate in environmental projects like growing of trees and stuff like that. We've also organized several community workshops, and the community in general, we came to realize most of the people do not know much about wildlife conservation. There are many myths and misconceptions about the wildlife, and therefore we do have community workshops to educate the children and the youth on how animal health is tied to the human health and just the environment in general. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Is anyone else to add something to it? Cecilia. Cecilia. Maybe I should be mentioning names. Arnold, would you like to say something about localizing the SDGs? We are on livelihood.
Hello, ma. Thank
Hello,
you, ma.
Cecilia.
Hello, ma.
Yeah, hello.
I like to appreciate each and everyone who has made time for today, starting with Eric Odeng, the data scientist who's using skills, to Lillian from Green Global Realization, to Mary Osuma, who is from the Adaptation Working Group to the United Nations, also to Johanna Luca for Eco Energy, Kagoche, the Green Loop Realization, doing a lot in wetlands using seed deer for the amazing work all of you are doing. I appreciate each and everyone for your time. I
climate problems, it would be a very effective way or a tool to reach out to those people globally so that they know what is happening. Thank you.
Okay. Just as you continue, a second, we should be finalizing in the next few seconds, so we return to the main session. Thank you.
Okay. Seems like we have to go to the next question because we're remaining with 3 more questions. So, sorry, Adams.
Hello everyone. We should be finalizing so that we move to we return to the main session, that is. So if you're done, you can return back to the main session so that we continue with the next session.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. We already concluded.
Wonderful. Then you can move back to the main session as we wait for the other rooms to close.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. This is Tony Alu again.
Yes.
To add up to what my brother said there. You see the challenges with the localization, which was, I think the topic is climate smart agriculture and localization, something like that.
Yes.
With the challenge that we have locally is that when farmers are not funded, we cannot be able to at least do research because farmers are mostly used for participatory research. They are the ones who are supposed to be used to in local breeding, and the process that is done there is to ensure the varieties are developed which are well suited for the environment, and also for like you see some test has to be done. We have to know what kind of seeds, and this is like research which needs some finance. You see, there's technologies like genetic modification, which can be used to introduce some specific traits into crops. So when you want to introduce these crop specific traits, you have to do something like budding. Like you need to do cross plants with these traits. You have to select and do cross breeding. So without education, awareness, and funding, local farmers cannot be able to practice climate smart farm methods, because even you see our agricultural officers, they depend on coming to support farmers who already have developed, but they cannot start from a farmer from the level that we like a startup farmer or a youth who wants to involve in farming. They have to be funded by some organization. They have to be trained. They have to be financed through. So those are the challenges
Tony.
that we
Apologies,
have.
Tony. We should be finalizing so that we move to the main session. So kindly tie it up quickly so that we move back to the main session. Apologies.
Okay, I have just done it.
Thank you so
Just
much.
up because my point was just starting up on that. Thank you.
Okay. But I think it is still some minutes there. Somebody can have, if you add something, you can add.
Emmanuel, I can add.
To thank all of us for being so engaging in this event and for joining. We'll be breaking the breakout room soon. And thank you so much for being part of this and engaging in climate justice and policy.
Can I share my point?
Yes, please.
1 minute, Mary. We should be finalizing so that we move back to the main session. The breakout room will be ending in a few seconds, so kindly finalize.
Okay. So I wanted to say that just like other people have said, maybe like Mora, that we can
to create awareness.
Oh, okay. I think I can add on that what you said, but for me, I feel in every country, I think everyone has their holidays. So you find that people celebrate planting trees just for one day and then people forget about it. I mean, if you could have not only just a day for all these events, now like climate action, it should be more regularly. When people practice it, they, when you practice something for long, it becomes like, a pattern. So people get used to it. But if we do it like once in a while, you see people meeting conferences once in a while or maybe twice in a year, and these are different countries, this wouldn't really help as much. So I would really advocate for regular, you know, uh, regular education to the youth so that the youth can go out there and also educate other people on how to strengthen climate actions. About the funding, personally, I can say this is a topic that has been discussed over and over and over again. And I feel like if the youths would come together and make it a stand, like they should pass a bill, like now in Kenya, they should pass a bill, that would support all these things that hinder climate in our countries. That would also be a good idea. But the minute only few youths come in forward and they present it, it's more like just spoken. When it gets there, it's just assumed. So I feel like if we do it regularly, it would be much better. So yeah.
We'd like to welcome all you back to the main session. We hope that you've had an amazing session with in the breakout rooms, or rather in the breakout rooms, the 5 breakout rooms. I happened to move around and I can clearly say that there were amazing discussions going on. So thank you for participating and actively participating, not just participating, but actively participating. In this now session, we're going to kind of hear from each of the breakout rooms. Each of the moderators will be, or any selected persons from the breakout session will be telling us what they have discussed as a group in just a few minutes, in just 2 minutes. Each breakout room asks like 2 minutes so that you can break down to us what you've discussed as we prepare to also prepare a report for the COP30, because that is the main thing for the entire session that we're having today. So bring out your ideas clearly so that we note them down and we include them in our reports. In the interest of time, we're going to go direct to youth-led grassroots solutions. If you have your moderator ready to share your kindly mute if you're unmuted. We're going to start with the youth-led grassroots solutions breakout room. If you're ready, kindly go ahead. This was a session that was being manned by George Boge. If you can kindly share what the discussion was about.
Thank you very much, Daniel, once again. From our breakout session, we had quite a number of speakers. And one of the main things we're tackling were the problems that youth-led grassroots initiatives. If you were to start an initiative today, what are some of the problems that you're going to encounter? And I changed, or I programmed that question in a very nice way, that it's not really about the problem, it's about the solution, a problem you've encountered, and the solution that you used, or how you are able to maneuver over this issue that you encountered, or over this problem that you encountered. And so we had speakers like Eric Odeng, who is using his data scientist or data science skills in matters environmental conservation. We also had Lillian from Green Global Realization. We also had Mary Osoma from the Adaptation Working Group to the United Nations. She's also an urban planner from Kenyatta University. I believe that's the top university in Kenya. We also had Johanna Luka from Kakuma Refugee Center or Refugee Camp, who is from Eco Energy Voice. And he had a very nice work that he's doing in there. And it's quite a touching moment because of the kind of freedom or the kind of leeway that we normally have. But for them, there is approvals which for us who are not part of the refugee camp do not need. But for them, they need to have approvals of even the most minute of things. Also, we had Lillian Kagoche from the Green Loop Realization, tackling wetland issues using seed balls and fundraising. She talked about fundraising, turning it into friend raising. And Sarah Deer from Waterlution, that's in Canada. And the main thing was actually finances. It's not a shock that the main problem should be finances. One of the main things that we learned and we agreed upon is that your work should speak for itself, first of all. You should put yourself in the shoes of the investor or the person who is going to donate money. If for you are a non-profit organization, and you should see, is your project really worth funding, or it's just a nice idea that you have. And another thing we were talking about from now, Lillian Kagoche, was fundraising into fundraising. Majority of the time, you might have this big fundraising, and people are, yes, willing to support you, but you find that the amount of money that should be realized is maybe too much, or maybe at that moment they do not have that kind of money. So the best thing is to have fundraising. Having a large network of people is actually more worth or more important than having a big network. And also, he talked about, I think that was from Marcy. She talked about a nice garden that they were able to do in Githurai, that's in the suburbs of Kenya, and they were able to transform it from a crime zone into a nice garden whereby they can have so many diverse biodiversity in there. And this is something that's showing it's true, you can have a very nice initiative even without the funding that's there. And so with that, I think we rest our case.
Thank you, George, for that breakdown. It was an amazing discussion on youth-led grassroots solutions and the challenges you face. They are one of the key things in terms of climate change and in climate action. The previous speakers mentioned that we, the youth, are not the leaders of tomorrow, but the leaders of today. And these grassroots are the ones that are taking us through this route. And it's good that you have discussed such important topics, including the challenges that you faced. And we hope that these challenges will one day come to be resolved. The next breakout room is climate smart agriculture and indigenous knowledge. This was with Teresia Gitau. If you are available, kindly go ahead and share with us what you've discussed.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Sasfai Emmanuel Jones. I'm Executive Director of Youth Action for Climatic Change of Sudan. Okay, in our group, we are 22 members, and some of our members are able to join us. But there's some points we have given here. Okay, my friend from Kenya, he said that to do the smart agriculture and indigenous knowledge in Kenya, what they use there, they use water management, harvesting, rain water during the dry season, and underground water for apartments. So they use these waters during the rain seasons that they can plant the crops, vegetables, and other crops. There is another one also, is the invention about use of mirrors. So there are some mirrors they're using to reduce the pests and control the pest control and plant more crops. So these mirrors they use to reduce the pests and also plant more crops. And there is another friend is called Tony from Kenya. He said that they're using variety of plants in drought, and they use crop rotation so that they can plant more crop during the dry season. Then there is another one. They use also forest. We use forestry. Yes, they use afforestation to save bees. Honey bees. They use pollen grains to make the honey. So they plant some crops or some trees around so that the bees can collect the pollen grains. Also, they use crop rotation to control the pests and diseases. Also, another friend from Malawi, he told us that they're using deep grade farming. So they use these crops can go deep, even if there is a climatic change, if there is drought, this crop can be resistant. Then also this deep crop, they improve soil fertility, water rotation, and crop use in Malawi. Another one also tell us from Gambia, they say they use technology such as Apple's application and to monitor the plants if there is maybe drought, or there is indication of drought, or there is anything climatic. They can use this mobile telephone that can attract they can attract the climatic change. There is also another one, also in our group called Hyvan, say that also they use traditional knowledges, in some African countries, they use traditional knowledge. They know in this month they're going to be rain season, so they cannot plant. They plant, and now maybe if the rain is starting on April or on July, they're going to start. That's why they plant their crop in that. That is why they get good yield in that time. So there is another one also told, I think it's Ivan, also from Kenya, told us in Kenya they also plant trees, especially fruits like mango, oranges, jackfruits. So this helps to reduce the impact of climatic change, even carbon emissions in the country, and help to yield more fruits in the country. There is a lady also give another point, said that they promote the climatic smart agriculture promotes diverse economy. You cannot depend maybe for cassava, but you can depend variety maize, cassava, fruits, vegetables. So you cannot depend on one kind of crops. Challenges. And in challenges, we have community resistance. Some communities are not resistant. Some like some technologies come like AI, like drones. That's all people resist. Maybe even use of machinery. They want to use these local tools like domestic tools like panga. So the resistance from the local communities.
Emmanuel, kindly check on time.
Okay. I'm now summarizing. Yeah, give me some cement. There is another one. They report a lot of knowledge. They want to go to school and to get knowledge. Then there is a need for finance. Finance to implement this semantic agriculture. They need finance. Also, they need to research. You have to research about which type of crop we're supposed to plant during this. Then they also need education in crossbreeding crops. Lastly, a new generation they dislike agriculture. Then last another one, lack of awareness for the farmers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to the team in climate smart agriculture and indigenous knowledge. That was an amazing discussion. The next breakout room was climate justice and policy influence, which was being moderated by Mary Muraya. So the room is yours now. You can go ahead and share with us what you discussed.
Okay, thank you so much. In the group, the call we discussed on climate justice and policy influence, access to decision spaces, and our conversation focused on how youths can go beyond participation and truly shape the decisions affecting the future. The participants in the group were very active, and we identified a few barriers that affect youth engagement in decision making, such as lack of funding and financial resources, access barriers, such like events happen in geographical locations where people are supposed to move and they have to find funds to cater for transport to and from to where the event is taking place. Limited youth representation in the decision making spaces, like in the UN and spaces that deal with policy and justice frameworks, that there are limited number of youths doing that. And another one is lack of valuable information about climate justice and policy influence to the young people. Like most people are not exposed on matters climate justice and policy influence. The other one is age, where as young people we are not allowed to, like we have limited ways of telling the a bit older generation than us about climate and that they can act upon that. We also discussed on what does meaningful youth participation in climate governance look like to young people, where the participants and the group engaged in it. And some of the highlights were the youth should be empowered through education and making the table for the youths, like including the youths in the table where the decisions are made. The other one is young people being heard as we face the effects of climate. We also, the other point was being part of the solution. Like we should engage the young people to be part of the solution, not just there to be seen, but be included in making the solution to the policies that are there. The other one is the youth, giving youth the ability to be involved in the table. I've said that. We also identify some methodologies that we can use to make sure that youths are actively engaged in this climate justice and policy, which included use of artistic impressions. Like for quite some time now, we've been using the written documents to talk about policies and justice, but for the young people we need something artistic, something tangible that we can relate to. So if we use artistic impressions on matters climate justice and policies, it can be a catchy phrase for the young people to be actively engaged. Another thing was supporting youth-led movements, where we can fund these movements, guide the youths on what to do and what not to do in these policies and justice, as also we get to deal with the matters on climate change. And the last one was youths putting themselves out there. We shouldn't just sit and wait to be told to get there. We should be the ones at the forefront of putting ourselves out there and making sure that we get to understand what is really needed for us to be in those spaces, not just coming and doing things just because we see them being done, but we can do them and they can be of impact too. They can be of impact. Thank you so much. That is just a summary of what we debated in, and we ended the discussion with a debate question on: is being at the table enough, or do youths need to design the table? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mary, for that amazing discussion. It's an amazing debate question. Are we being involved enough, or do we need to be there designing the tables? It's a conversation that we also ought to have. The next breakout room is localizing the SDGs. This is being led by Simon Gatonye. I don't know whether there is anybody from that room who will be giving us the breakdown of what they discussed.
Hello, Daniel.
Yes,
Hello
you
and
can
good
go ahead.
afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. For our group for SDGs, I was helped by participants also called Ruth. I want to appreciate them. Ruth and Amos and Priscilla. They helped also in moderating. And so what we talked about in the localizing the SDG, we first of all had a small discussion about the purpose building on the SDGs, what SDGs means, the 17 SDGs. And now we went directly into the problems that young people, especially the youth, pass through when they're trying to implement the SDGs. So we had a discussion, first of all, where the impacts of SDGs, the impacts before we went to the problems, we had the impacts of amplifying the SDGs, which are such like economic growth and stability, which comes from the SDG goal number 8 for industrial innovation, and number 9 also to reduce inequalities. We also talked about the social progress and equality that comes in the SDGs. And that we just mentioned about goals like the SDG goals like good quality, good education, good quality education. We also talked about gender equality and reduce inequalities. And the impact of amplifying the SDGs, and that's why it is the reason we went into the impact is so as to ensure that we know why we want to work on the SDGs. So the other one is environmental sustainability. This is brought about by the SDG number 13, as you all know, about climate change. We also talked about the SDG 14 and 15, that is on land and water, life under beneath the water, beneath the surface. We also talked about health and well-being, whereby we see that SDG number 3, because there's nothing more important than human health. We usually say that you have 100 problems, but once you have health issue, that's the only problem you have. So health is the most important thing that we should have. So we also talked about peace and justice. For people to develop, for nations to develop, there must be peace. and it can't. There's no way development stagnates once peace is interrupted. So those are some of the things. Those are some of the impacts that we talked about as we are going through the SDGs. We also talked about. We also discussed about the SDGs transformation in levelers, where we saw through transformation through education, gender equality and equality, and transformation of energy decarbonization in sustainable industries. Those are levelers under the SDG, a digital revolution for sustainable development, sustainable food, land, water, and oceans. I won't go into all the details because of time. I'll now say the problems that organizations, especially youth-led, go when we are trying to solve the SDGs. So for one of them, we talked about is many organizations don't know that the work they do at times has to be documented. The documentation of projects that the organization does help it gives it a limelight in a way that they are able to attract people who are also like-minded into helping them, sponsoring them in whatever way, in manpower or labor, in finances, to ensure that whatever they want to implement is implemented. And also they should be capacity building to the youth on how to, like, if it is a project you have, how do you set it to ensure that if you're looking for help, because we saw that the thing about SDGs, this is a collaborative effort. It's not a single person or organization thing for it to be effective. So how do you reach out? That's the capacity building that also youths that are dealing with SDGs need. We also talked about focusing on several SDGs. Like when you're focusing on the SDGs, they should be intertwined because most of these SDGs are intertwined together. Another problem we talked about was also financial, which I already covered in my previous talk. As I was talking about supporting, and yeah, we left with a quote from Amos that was saying, everyone wants a change, but nobody wants to change. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. He quoted it from Mahatma. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Indeed, be the change that you want to see in the world. The final breakout room was Africa's Climate Voice in Global Spaces. This was being led by Newton Mageto Momanyi. If there is anyone from the room who is ready to share with us the highlights, kindly go ahead.
Okay. Hello there, Daniel. My name is
Yeah,
Beverly.
you're.
Okay. My name is Beverly from Kenya. So we discussed a few questions that were here. There were a few of us from different countries. You have to bear with me. I didn't get the names, but I got the countries. So we had Kenya being represented by a few people, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and DRC Congo. So we talked about what that can describe Africa's climate voice today. We defined it by youth leadership and collaboration by African youth, and they lead charge with bold ideas, grassroots movements, and advocacy efforts. So we actually combined all of them, but these were different points from different people. The second question would be, how do we ensure African youth voices are not only heard, but also shape the global climate agenda? So we had a few insights from different people here. The first one was youth should be part of the strategical team, and youth should also be assigned roles in implementing the roles, the gender roles, the equal gender roles, and participation. The next one was we should organize also on how to speak with one voice, since there are so many language barriers. People come from different areas, so I think language barrier is also an issue. But if people would organize how to speak in one voice, that would also help. Actively participating in summits where we get the youth participate less in these summits, especially the regional ones and the global ones. We get to participate only in the local ones, but if we were given the chance to participate in the global and regional, that would be good for us. The next one was we should address our climate issues from the grassroots, from Africa, and not from the Western countries, whereby we get people from the West and North coming with their ideas and tell us on how to work on climate change in our countries, rather than us being the one actually discussing this within ourselves. So we thought that the best thing we could do is come together as Africa and discuss our own climate issues and not involve other people from outside to come and give us ideas. Sorry. Next was we should also all be responsible, because if it doesn't start with us, then we can never go far. It has to start with us, so we all have to be responsible. The next question was, what roles do regional coalitions and youth networks play in amplifying African voices globally? Well, sorry, give me a minute. So being part of these organizations, these youth groups would create spaces for African youth to advocate on environmental issues and shape regional climate discourse. These networks are not only building collective advocacy, but are also turning voices into actions through training, campaigns, and policy engagement. So we had a guy from Congo who said that in their country, they actually are involved directly, and they do come together and amplify the voices like together. Sorry, I didn't get what he said at the end because we were actually out of time, so I might expound on that later on if there will be time. The next one was, how can storytelling and media be used more effectively to influence global forums and policymakers about Africa's climate realities and solutions? Some gave different opinions on social media, like the posts and everything, podcasts. We could all come together and post common grounds, especially things to do with the climate change. I think we would discuss the last one. We were not really many of us, so the points were not really that much. But we had this last question, which was, is Pan-African unity in climate advocacy realistic or more symbolic? We had two men. I think they were both from Congo. No, one was from Congo, one was from Kenya. They said it's mostly symbolic because most of the ideas we come up with, we write them, we draft them, but they're never put into action. So like one of the guys says, Africans are more doers than there are more doers than talkers, but we basically don't achieve what we discuss in the end because I don't know if we're bounded by the Western limitations or it's Africans who get to decide, but it's more symbolic. That was what we actually we proposed. It was symbolic. So I didn't have anyone say it was realistic. Yeah, and we got to finish, but we didn't finish all of it. But yeah, those were our points. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly, for that amazing discussion. The breakout rooms, I see they were very fruitful. We also having an issue with the chat box. We're unable to kind of make it available for you to send any questions. So if you have any questions, kindly use the WhatsApp group. We'll be reading them. Share your questions with together with your name and who they are addressed to, so that we can share them with whoever you are addressing the question to. Apologies for that. We are currently working on trying to turn on the chat box. So apologies for that. You send in your questions via the WhatsApp group chat. Anyway, thank you so much for actively engaging in the breakout rooms. It was a nice session. The different breakout rooms moderators kindly also share a breakdown document of whatever it is that you've discussed, so that we include it in our reports to cop that. Moving on to our next session, that is the panel discussion that we're going to be having. We have an amazing panel discussion that will be discussing on advancing climate justice through youth innovation and indigenous knowledge and policy influence. We have four guests who will be speaking to us on this topic, and it brings together exceptional leaders who have made significant contributions to climate action and advocacy. And for the next few minutes, we will engage in a thought-provoking discussion where we'll be exploring how youth voices can meaningfully shape policies and leverage traditional knowledge systems, and also create an innovative solution for a sustainable future. So I would like to introduce this group. So again, if you have questions before we go on, please utilize the WhatsApp group chat so that we ask them on your behalf. Include your name and who they are directed to, so that we can share them with who you're directing them to. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the panelists who will be participating in this interactive session, including Arnold Gekongo, who is the chairperson of Sustainable Development Group, or rather Youth Forum in Kenya. We also have Julian Kalonji, who is the Africa coordinator for Stop Ecocide International, representing the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Africa-wide initiatives. We also have Susanna, who is the founder of Open Dialogues International Foundation, who is a leading voice in global youth climate engagement. We also have Favor Ochua, who is a youth development and policy advocate and a 2024 Diana Award recipient from Nigeria. We also have Wiseman Nyondo, who is the executive director of the Youth for Change Network. And I would love for them to say a word about themselves and introduce themselves well. Starting with Arnold Gekongo, if you are around, kindly introduce yourself.
Hello, I believe you can all hear me well. My name is Arnold Gekonge, and I'm the founder and executive director of Champions for Sustainable Development Goals Youth Organization. It's been written as SDG Youth Forum, but the correct name is Champions for Sustainable Development Goals Youth Organization. I'm based in Kenya, and our activities and programs essentially focus on education for the Sustainable Development Goals, targeting young people between ages of 18 to 35 with information on how they can actively participate in implementing the goals, but also actively supporting the review process, and that is specifically the development of the voluntary national reports when countries are ready to report. SDG 13 on climate action is one of the key goals that we pay attention to, and the subject of climate justice, which we'll delve into today, is key for us all to achieve a sustainable future for everybody. I look forward to the conversation that we are going to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. Also have Julian Kalonji. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Kindly introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. I always advise my friends who are speaking English to use my second name, Kalonji, because the first one is a French name. So feel free to just say Kalonji. I'm Guillaume Kalonji, based in Eastern Congo, but currently in Kampala because of security issue. I'm a full-time climate activist, actually Africa coordinator for Stop Ecocide International. Locally in DRC, I'm leading the Rise Up Movement Congo, which is focused on climate education. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kalonji. Zuzana, if you're around, kindly introduce yourself.
Hello, Musembi. We'll be happy seeing them physically, like if they can do their mics on. Thank you. Their cameras on. Thank you.
Okay, sure. If you are able to also turn on your camera, we'll also appreciate it. Is Susanna around? Then we can move to Favor if you're around. Kindly introduce yourself. Favor Uchua.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, can you hear me, Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my apologies for that. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Favor Eragbe. I'm an environmentalist based in Nigeria, and I'm the founder and executive director of Youth for Environmental Conservation. And through my organization, I am empowering Africa's next generation of leaders to accelerate sustainable development. For us at Youth for Environmental Conservation, we believe in the power of young people, what young people in Africa can do. We are equipping them, empowering them with the skills, tools, and resources for them to drive change, contributing to socio-economic development and environmental sustainability across Africa. So our programs engage young people across Africa while we are headquartered in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Favor. Wiseman Nyondo, if you're around, kindly introduce yourself. Wiseman. Back to Susanna.
Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm around. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
I'm Wiseman Nyondo from Malawi. The executive director for Youth for Change Network, where we empower young people with skill development, we advocate for climate and empowerment, health. We also work with youth with disabilities. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for that brief introduction. Our conversation basically today is designed to be both reflective and a solution-oriented conversation. So I'll pose a mix of general and tailored questions to each of the panelists, but I also invite you participants to bring in your questions and actively engage via the group chat on WhatsApp, since we are having an issue with the chat box in Zoom. So actively engage, ask questions, and tell us who they are directed to so that we can ask them on your behalf. And a general kickoff question to all of you, our panelists. When we talk about climate justice, what does it mean to you personally, and why is it critical in the current global context? We can start with Arnold.
All right. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this conversation today. So climate justice to me means that everyone across the world is able to live cohesively with everyone else, and that especially vulnerable populations who are often left behind and disproportionately affected by the effects of climate change are not discriminated, and that the efforts that are geared towards taking climate action equally benefit them, and not only the rich nations who have historically contributed to climate change through the emissions produced from the industrial activities that they carry out from time to time. And also is to ensure that there's a rights-based approach to climate action and decision making when it comes to policy engagements and frameworks in different jurisdictions or countries. And finally, is also to ensure that there is just transition, even as we move towards more sustainable approaches to reduce carbon emissions, that we have just transition. So climate justice is wide, and many stakeholders have a role to play in it.
Thank you, Arnold. To Kalonji, just the same question. What does climate justice, mean from a personal perspective, and why is it critical in the current global context?
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for that question, and thank you for Mr. Arnold, who was trying to explain his in his words with the meaning of climate justice. I'm so sorry, my English will not be perfect. I'm from Congo. We are speaking French. We are doing effort to speak your language, but unfortunately, you are doing nothing to speak French. Okay. We are trying to build a house called climate justice, and that journey of building that house, there is two sides of source of contribution, and those two sides are the global north, who are historically the main cause of the climate change, and the second side is the global south, the developing countries who has materials of building that house. I think climate justice is now taking into consideration both sides. Everyone need to bring in the ground what is needed to construct that house. And as we may know, in Africa, we have a lot of materials, a lot of resources, a lot of forests, a lot of minerals that is actually needed for the just energy transition, which is in other ways the the main solution to fight against climate change. And these minerals, these resources, these materials cannot be useful if there is no money coming from somewhere to make that construction. So I think if I can say in a few words, climate justice is not asking poor countries who has nothing to bring in table in terms of finance to make the fight against climate change effective, asking them to pay. That is not a climate justice. Climate justice is asking those who have caused the climate change to bring money in the table, and together we see how to shift from this bad condition of climate change effect to a sustainable way. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalonji. Next, Favor, the same question. When we talk about climate justice, what does it mean personally, and why do you think it is important in the current context, in the current global context?
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Daniel. When we talk about climate justice, I think first we must first look at it, climate change. Climate change is a global challenge, and for the world to strategically address climate change, we require interdisciplinary solutions, collaborations, everyone working together to actually deliver solutions. So climate justice to me means that everyone, regardless of their ethnicities, regardless of their economic status, regardless of their genders, they enjoy fairness, they enjoy equality in assessing climate solutions. It means that climate justice will mean that the solutions are also addressing the needs and rights of individuals, particularly those who have contributed least to the climate crisis, representing their interests, representing them in global action frameworks, ensuring that the opportunities we are currently developing, the opportunities we are currently building is going to help them have resilience against the impacts of climate change. For me, as an environmental educator, climate justice for me means everyone having equal opportunities to accessing education, accessing information about climate change. Because one of the disparities we've faced in the climate space is that there isn't enough information, there isn't adequate information. Take, for instance, we're having issues with translation, people who speak French and those who do not. So this kind of issues, climate justice for me means like addressing these issues step by step at every bit of the way, ensuring that everyone has equal access to climate solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Favor, for that. The same question to Weissman. Climate justice, what does it mean personally, and why is it important in the current global context?
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. What I can say, climate justice, I can say, is the recognition that climate change is not just about environmental issues, but it's also a matter of social and economic inequality. It emphasizes that people and communities are like most affected communities by climate change. Often those who are responsible for it should be at the center of the climate decision making and benefiting from climate action. Also, why is it important in the current context? I can say climate justice today is crucial because the impacts of climate change like droughts, floods, heat waves, rising sea levels are hitting hardest in the communities that contribute the risk to the problem. These are maybe often poor, rural, and marginalized groups, especially in global south here, who lack the resources to adapt and or to recover. At the same time, where these countries and industries have historically emitted the most carbon and often better protected from climate change and continue to benefit economically. So what we can do in the current context, climate justice, we must be promoting fairness by holding polluters accountable and protecting those most at risk. Also guiding inclusive solutions that uplifts vulnerable groups like women, old people, youth, and disabled people. And also, we should be supporting peace and stability as climate stressors that are linked to conflict, migration, and resource scarcity. And it should also be aligned with human rights, pushing for policies that respect dignity, equity, and sustainability for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wiseman, for that, and all of you for answering that question. I think it's important for us to understand what climate justice means to us personally, and kind of bring out our knowledge of the same. To Arnold, currently, as we speak right now, this is a youth-led dialogue on climate justice, and youth-led innovations are becoming one of the very powerful drivers to climate solutions. How do you see young people reshaping the climate action in your region or rather globally?
Thank you for that question. So young people are very well known for their innovativeness and proactivity in developing solutions to some of the challenges, even some of the biggest challenges that not only Kenya faces, but Africa and the globe at large. And innovations in today's world will take us very far and will help us make great progress as far as the climate action targets are concerned, and most importantly, climate justice. So there are some innovations that young people have been seen to come up with, and some of them are on clean energy sources and how people can move, how people can cook, how people can do different things that require energy in a cleaner and more efficient and sustainable manner. And we've also seen some innovations around sustainable agriculture, whereby different young people have innovated around irrigation, the type of plants or crops that they plant in particular areas that do well, and using other techniques such as vertical gardening, even in places where there are small areas for farming. I've seen young people innovating around that and being able to produce food, and also on eco-friendly products, whereby things such as single-use plastics, even though in some places they are widely used, now in other places they are being used less and less, because those are some of the things which end up in the oceans and become a danger to the marine life and so on. So that unique quality of young people of being very innovative and proactive and hands-on with technology, even developing different softwares, or even leveraging artificial intelligence to create solutions to share knowledge. For example, as you know, some of the colleagues who've already spoken here have spoken about why education is very important, even as we strive towards climate justice. sharing information in a prompt manner, in a relatable manner. And this has been made very easy by artificial intelligence. So I can go on and on about how young people can contribute innovatively to climate justice, but I'll pause there for now to allow colleagues to also chip in.
Thank you. Favor, the same question to you. How do you see young people reshaping this climate action thing in your area or globally in general? Favor?
Thank you very much for your question. Okay, so in the number of years I have worked in the climate space, I have just been privileged to meet a lot of young people, particularly from across Africa, who are doing amazing work, contributing to climate action. I mean, you meet young people who are from rural communities, urban communities, indigenous communities, but they have this and show this great resilience towards tackling climate change head on, whether with fewer resources, whether with no or limited funding. The passion is there, the resilience is there for young people to actually actively contribute their own skills, contribute their knowledge, apply innovation to actually tackle environmental challenges. There are myriad of ways I've seen young people, a lot of ways actually, just like what Arnold was saying, mentioning a lot of solutions. We can go over that so many times. I've had colleagues, you see people who are tackling deforestation, and they are equipping local communities with the skills to develop fuel briquettes so that these people don't have to chop down trees to as used for their firewood. They redesign cooking stoves so that they reduce respiratory issues which they develop from inhaling smoke. So a lot of ways, some of them you see them applying science, you see some applying advocacy, education, innovation to actually develop these solutions. And it's actually a very huge opportunity that Africa as a continent can actually tap into. We really don't need to buy our solutions from the global north. We really don't have to look far. I think that was one of the reasons why I mentioned climate justice is when the solutions are accessible and available for everyone. We have the solutions here in Africa. The question is, can our leaders really look into the continent and actually empower young people who are building solutions in agriculture, in agroforestry? A lot of them, there are a lot of solutions in plastic pollution. We actually have young people who are doing a lot of things. Some of them are converting the plastics into pavers to tackle issues of bad roads, things like that. So there are a lot of solutions. So the question is, can our continent actually recognize these solutions, tap into this potential, and actually put Africa on the global map as a continent leading climate solutions? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Favor, for that. Same question goes to Kalonji. Do you see how do you see the young people being involved in climate action and in the current global context?
Okay, let me answer that question by using some examples I'm seeing in DRC. During the last 10 years, Congolese people wasn't aware on the existence of climate change. They didn't know even that climate change is existing. They have been seeing only ice melting on TV, forest burning. This kind of things is happening only in Europe and America. So they have been thinking that in Africa, climate change will never happen. We are exempted. But through climate education, we have started to teach them that what they are facing in their communities, like season disruption, floods, and any other effects of climate change in agriculture. It's about the effects of climate change, not the ancestral things like they have been thinking. And that leads young people to start looking forward solutions on how to combat climate change, not only for Congo but for the world. And I am seeing so many groups of young people all around DRC working on raising awareness about climate change in communities and in schools. And once young people are informed about the climate change, they are starting to get in the side of actions. And I am seeing in the eastern part of Congo, mostly in Goma City, young people starting to build electric speed boats, which are functioning with solar panels. I'm also seeing a lot of young people around DRC working on tree planting campaigns. And also there is a lot of people who are engaging themselves on constructing alternative to cooking energies, because we know in DRC 70% of people doesn't have access to electricity. That means the maximum of them are depending on deforestation to access energy for cooking. They are practicing deforestation to produce charcoal. So now I'm seeing people engaging themselves in building clean cooking stoves around the Congo rainforest. But for sure, I can tell you that all these initiatives cannot go forward if there is no support to the few actions they are actually doing. That is it.
Thank you, Kalonji. Same question goes to Wiseman. How do you see young people reshaping climate action through innovations?
All right. Thank you so much. What I can say in Malawi now, young people are emerging as powerful drivers of climate action, like through advocacy, innovation, and community engagement. As a person who and deeply involved in geostoric initiatives and environmental advocacy, witnessed a lot of a growing wave of youth taking action in leading awareness campaigns, tree planting, sustainable agriculture, and green entrepreneurship. Seen innovations like now in rural areas, people are no longer using like candle lighting and everything. They're now using like these solar and everything, which is promoting sustainable. And also, we are now using smart climate agriculture where people are no longer using the inorganic fertilizers, are using the fertilizers that are made locally by us, the youth, providing them with lessons and many more. And also, like in rural and urban areas, youth are bringing the gap between traditional knowledge and modern solutions, whether by promoting climate smart farming or engaging in climate justice programs. Their creativity and resilience are shaping the future where climate responses are inclusive and grounded in local realities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for answering that question. Jumping on to the next question. One of our thematic areas today was climate smart agriculture and indigenous knowledge. And as we all know, indigenous knowledge systems have long held answers to resilience and sustainability in terms of climate change and environmental conservation. Just a question to all of us. How do we balance these modern approaches that we have today with traditional practices that are driving equitable action? How do we balance modern approaches with the traditional practices? This question goes to Kalonji. Maybe you can start.
I think this is one of the key questions when it's come to discuss about climate solutions, because I'm seeing while people are trying to work on agriculture sector to fight climate change, they are trying to replace ancestral way of doing things. And I'm just asking myself every day, what will happen if we lose all the ancestral, all the biological seeds? We are going to be definitely depending on what is coming from laboratory. All we know that what is coming from laboratory is bringing to us disease like cancers. So I think the best way of supporting agriculture sector when it's come to fight against climate change is seeing how to support cultural ways of doing things, so that even if things change deeply, we will not lose all our agricultural source of food. I don't know if I explain it well. And also, since we are talking about indigenous knowledge, I'm seeing since some years that there is a very big injustice and contradiction in our way of doing things. We are gathering around the world every year to discuss about climate issues. For example, every year there is a COP conference happening. For this year, it will be in Brazil. But I'm attending since 2022. I have never seen a pygmy present in the negotiation table to share his idea about what they can do inside the Congo rainforest, for example, to maintain the original trees that have been there for hundreds, for thousands of years. But it's look like we are just trying to construct our ideas, to construct what can be done. Then we will go inside the forest to impose to pygmies what they can do. Don't you see that pygmies can one day revolt themselves and say, don't enter to our kingdom? So I think while we are discussing about indigenous knowledge, we need to go to them and ask them also what they think can be done so that our forest can be saved. Our ancestral way of doing agriculture can be maintained. That's my ideas.
Thank you, Kalonji. Same question goes to Favor. How do you think we can balance the modern approaches together with the traditional approaches when it comes to climate mitigation, adaptation, and climate justice in general?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, when it comes to indigenous knowledge, I think that's why one of my mantra is climate education is climate justice. It's something, will I say, we don't really realize that we have been robbed, particularly in the global south. We've really been robbed of our indigenous knowledge. The question is, this knowledge we're talking about today, or that the world uses today in tech and everything, most of them actually came from these local communities. I mean, for my own country, Nigeria, sometimes you find people like Europeans come to the country. They're coming for like a tour, a visit. Sometimes you find them going to local villages, asking questions about traditions, about cultures, about way of life.
And you might just want to see it as, oh, it's just for sightseeing, it's just for tourism. Actually, it doesn't end there. This knowledge that they get, they actually apply it. They go back to their countries, go back to the lab, and use those knowledge or that knowledge to actually formulate products which they sell back to us. Will I say a problem we have, which is the foundational problem we have in this part of the world, is we don't even trust ourselves. Yeah, it's something I personally experienced, which I would share. We don't trust ourselves when it comes to sharing information. I mean, I don't know, I stand to be corrected, but I think a Black man will be more comfortable in sharing tricks or secrets on how he grows his farm crops. He will be more comfortable sharing it with a white person than a Black person. That's how I see it. So during my final year research project, I wanted to extract some probiotic from cassava, right? Research has shown that cassava contains that probiotic. I wanted to use it for some other process. So the initial plan was to buy online the probiotic importing from the US. But I think at that time, before it gets to Nigeria, I wouldn't have time for my research work. So I needed to get like local alternatives. So that's what pointed me to cassava. Now I had to go to, there was a village close to my school. I had to go to that village to talk to people who own cassava farms on how to ferment the cassava in a particular way, so that when I take the like say substrate from the cassava that has been fermented, when I take it to the lab, I can get my probiotic. It was so easy. The way they said, they just told me to just soak the cassava in some local peppers, and that would work. And that actually worked. I didn't have to spend dollars importing these probiotics. So this is how this indigenous knowledge works. We really have to, as young people, we really have to come back. And I think because many times we can easily get carried away in the name of we want to use technology, we want to use AI, we want to follow what's trendy, and we forget the basics of these things. I think now somebody talked about GMOs, like those kind of crops. People today are embracing technology in agriculture, and with time we are losing like the foundational essence of our own crops in the name of we want to embrace new things. So when we are looking at climate adaptation, climate mitigation, those solutions, again, they have to be culturally aligned. When we are developing these solutions, we have to embrace intergenerational solidarity as young people, where we can actually communicate with older members of society, older members of communities, ask them like, how is this done? What have they done? Personally, I tell you that a lot of resources you get there for free. So for me, these are ways that we can actually balance these things, particularly as young people when we're developing solutions. It's not just all about, oh, you want to come to this village and just put in one AI bot to really solve a climate issue. At the same time, these things have long-term, they have repercussions. So we need to harness our indigenous knowledge. We need to harness intergenerational solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Favor, for that. The final view from Arnold. Kindly share how do we balance these two approaches?
So Favor has spoken very well around that. The only thing I want to add is the part of thinking about how to keep this knowledge so that the present generation can learn about it, but also the coming generation can also be able to learn and practice it. And that will start with documenting the different solutions and ideas, knowledge that is indigenous, and using education through the various policies that exist at national and regional levels to share that knowledge with young people who are in schools, be it in primary or tertiary institutions, so that they can already start blending into the solutions that they are coming up with towards climate justice. That is what I can add for now.
Thank you, Arnold. Wiseman, do you have anything to add on how we can balance these two approaches, the modern approaches and traditional approaches to climate justice? It's okay. Wiseman had mentioned that it would be in transit in a few, so it's okay. A final question to all of us in the interest of time. When you're looking at decision making and spaces like Conference of Parties, that is COP, and sessions like this, just to clarify, this is a side event of the United Nations High Political Level Forum 2025. And it's a huge challenge for many youth to be in this decision making spaces. And what do you think are some of the strategies that have worked for you, or rather, what strategies have worked for you to influence policy? And what advice would you give to young advocates in this space? Just starting with Favor.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Strategies that have worked for me to influence policy. The question is, when we talk about policy, people always try to look at it as policy has to be one national adaptation plan that you have to work on or create awareness on, really push for. But for me, I think when we get to places like different levels of society, I think that's where the change actually starts from. Through my organization, I work with young people to raise conscious awareness about the things, because for me, getting into the environmental space, the gap for me there was just education was zero. The education we had about climate change was flawed. And so it was this huge gap that I had to fill, or we have to fill. So coming into that space, the first thing I needed to do was identify who are the people who are going to be existing on our planet in the next 80 years and more. Those are the youth. So make them like the focus, the center, and use them to like create the change. So through my work, working with these young people, empowering them, dispelling myths, they can then go to their communities and create the same change. They can begin to engage stakeholders. They can begin to talk to people in power to actually deliver climate solutions, collaborate, partner with them. Because I think many times what we also see in this part of the world, or what we don't see, is that yes, in as much as I like to say that the government has the ultimate power, the government can do anything they want to do. If they require so much help, they know how to go about it. But for other levels of society, let's say for your local communities or schools, it's not really in the case. Some of these institutions know what to do, but they do not have the resources. I'll share another case study. When I was a student in uni, my faculty was a mess. In fact, you find trash littered everywhere you go. They had no system to manage waste. Students didn't care about these things. But as someone in the environment space, you would just want to see it as, oh, the faculty is not interested in these things. They're not doing anything. I think for me, that's where I started. I started from my department to first encourage people, educate people about these things. When I saw good traction, I then moved on faculty level and spoke to the dean of my faculty. And surprisingly, I found out that like this is something he has planned, or this is something he wants to do, or they want to do in the faculty, but they don't have that relationship. How are they going to get students on board? How are they going to get everybody really buying into this? So it was easy to come in as a student. Then I was like engaging students like in the faculty for them to understand these things. So when the faculty is like creating the solutions, they were like putting the systems, the waste bin, all of those things. It was easy to actually navigate and manage every of those things. So I think for young people, what we need to understand is, yes, their policies, their adaptation plan, their everything, net zero plan for your country. But we need to understand that the change is going to start at grassroots, and we need to take it as it is from wherever you are. So whether it's your local community, it's your university, it's your place of work, something like that. You need to start advocating for this change. As it happens here, we need those little progress, because I think many a times everybody's concentrating at the top. Everybody's concentrating at the top. And for me, my own country, Nigeria, or in this part of the world, even if the government comes today to say, oh, we're going to stop this particular, for example, they're going to ban plastics and all of that. If there's not enough education, there are no systems in place to actually guide the solutions, then it's all in vain. So as young people, we need to start taking action from where we are. We don't really have to wait that we have to get to COPs, and it's only when you get to COP you can actually make change and all of those things. We need to really start from where we are to start creating those change. That's how you even build momentum for your professional journey, and you can create change on big stages. Thank you.
Thank you, Favor. The same question goes to Arnold. As I think the chairperson of SDG Youth Forum in Kenya, what are some of the strategies that have worked for you to influence policy? And what advice would you have for the young advocates that we have in this space today?
So for Champions for SDGs Youth, some of the strategies that we've used is to ensure that the youth that we engage with, first of all, understand the policy frameworks that exist and are able to craft the messages and communicate it where it matters. The previous speaker has spoken about important points, but just to add on that, there are various global frameworks which exist and contain important elements on climate justice. And most of you might be familiar with the UNFCCC, the Loss and Damage Fund, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction, the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and even the International Court of Justice and Climate Justice. And now, most recently, last year, during the Summit of the Future, the Pact for the Future was adopted, which also pays close attention to the young generation and the Global Digital Compact. So I urge us all to get to know that these frameworks exist, and if your country is a signatory to this framework, then you can hold them accountable and reference them when you're doing your advocacy activities. And even as you plan to do the activities, make sure you consult other peers and young people. You realize that most of the challenges that we face as young people are cross-cutting. A challenge that a young person that is facing in Nigeria or South Africa or Kenya or Egypt, and there's no big difference. So collaborate with other like-minded organizations and follow up after the advocacy efforts, and for example, participating in a public participation fora. Again, follow up after some time to see if it's some recommendation you made for the budget, whether it has been allocated, and so on. And this side, you mentioned that this is an event, a side event during the high-level political forum. The high-level political forum is a very important forum where countries go to report how they are doing on the sustainable development goals. So that is one other space that I encourage us to look into, because some of our countries, those who are here, Kenya is not reporting this year, but there are some countries which are reporting, and let's see what our government says they've achieved. Some countries usually prepare shadow reports You can compare that with the government reports and see what does the citizens say and what does the government say. So that is a brief highlight of my key recommendations on how youth can continue engaging. Lastly, leverage social media. Some of you are already using platforms like LinkedIn very well to showcase your work and also communicate to some of the policymakers who exist on those platforms, whereby they can respond to you or even engage with your messages. Thank you, and I'll look forward to giving closing remarks after.
Thank you so much, Arnold. Same question to Kalonji. And in the interest of time, kindly also just shorten it a bit.
Yes, maybe some points before to end for my side. I need to mention that young people are not in the climate space just to be used as volunteers. They are valuable to commit and contribute in the journey to fight against the climate change and its effects, and that is in all the world. Young people are not in the climate space just to listen. They are also there to be heard. They need the space to talk, to share their ideas and innovation. And back to Africa, most of the population is made of young people. This is one of the reasons why our voice matters in the international climate spaces. Not taking into consideration the voice of young people in the climate fights is very unfair. And mostly young people in Africa are using the social media platforms as the main and the first way for them to share what they need to share and what they are doing. I think that is one of the strategy that everyone has passed through before to reach out level where we are now in international panel to discuss and yeah, and that is also what I use myself to be known and to share what I've been able to do. And actually I'm the mentor of so many young people across Africa since 2023. Actually, I am in charge of leading two young women from Sierra Leone who are just starting their journey on climate change issues. And also, maybe lastly, another strategy I think it's needful and important everywhere in Africa is once again about climate education, because the climate change sector is becoming very, very complex every year. And the people who are just joining movements, who are just joining this journey, they don't know where we are now, what is needed now, which kind of strategies the world is prioritizing now. So I think these are some lines I prefer to share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kalonji. If Weissman is around, or he can speak up on this.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yeah, I'm around.
Weissman, you can go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're very audible.
All right. So I think Carol has been already covered by my colleagues. What I can add is we should be using the existing policies that are already working here. And also advise the young advocate. If you want to do something, you can collaborate with others. And nowadays, there is social media. We can use social media. It's also very, very that can help us in whatever we're doing in our climate journey. A lot of things that I wanted to say, they have been already covered by my colleague. I think I should stop here now.
Thank you so much, Weisman. We're going to invite a few questions from the audience. We had a few questions sent directly to the WhatsApp group chat. So if you have a question, maybe send it to the group chat so that we can say it on your behalf. Johnson Okidi from Uganda asked a question. How...
Can I ask my question, please? Can I ask your question?
Kindly, I'll give you the permission to ask the question. So, again, Johnson Okidi from Uganda has asked a question. How does the intersecting issues like poverty and racism impact climate justice? And how can the youth leaders address these issues? These are questions directed to anyone in the panel and anyone in the room. So Arnold, Kalonji, Wiseman, Favor, you can answer that question if you're okay with it.
Can I get a question again?
Yeah, sure. Johnson is asking, how does the intersecting issues like poverty and racism impact climate justice, and how can the youth leaders address these issues?
I think let me answer that question. Okay, so where you gonna answer? Hello?
You can go ahead and answer the question.
Hello? All right. So as I said I think in the start of the meeting, I said that most of the countries which are affected by climate change are like the countries like the developing countries. So as you were saying, how does poverty intersect with climate change? So the solution we were saying that these countries or the people who are affected by climate change, they should be in a decision of making policies and everything. I think I can answer that for now.
Thank you so much. Another question comes from Philip Bashir. How does climate change affect health, especially in vulnerable communities? This can go to Favor. How does climate change affect health, especially in vulnerable communities?
Okay, thank you very much. I think coming from the first question, these issues are intersectional. When you look at the SDGs, I see it like as a chart. You cannot like really achieve one SDG without the other. I always like to point to the fact that I think climate change is even sitting in the middle of everything. If you want to tackle hunger, you cannot tackle hunger and ignore climate change. You have to keep an eye on other like issues. That is like where the world has gotten to now. So when we talk about health and climate change comes with a lot of issues on its own. There are activities that also drive global warming that result to climate change. Health, look at pollution, for example, land degradation, water degradation. These activities in turn also affect humans. The new way of approaching issues. It's called systems thinking. It's like seeing issues like in an interdisciplinary lens, not just seeing issues, for example, before when we want to look at pollution, we just look at it that, oh, it's plastic pollution, is just going to affect nature, for example. But now, looking at it with systems thinking, you begin to realize that, oh, plastic pollution actually degrades the environment. It affects land, it affects water, it affects air, it affects we as humans, affecting our health. So it gives you this opportunity to be able to develop solutions that are not just linear, but are actually, will I say secular, that are actually going to be interdisciplinary in nature and actually prefer solutions that are not just short term, just for the now, but actually long-term solutions. So looking at it, like if you want to even come, whether it's vulnerable communities or urban communities, is the same thing. There are actions that are actually driving global warming and all of those things. So you need to look at it from that angle. What are these actions? We need to close the tap on those actions so that we even halt global warming in the long run that like drives climate change. I hope that answers that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Raphael Clark, you had a question.
Yes, I have a question. Yes, I'm on the line. I have a question. Yeah, my question has to do with, for we that just growing in our country don't have access to both producing our own things now that for the global warming and all of the climate change. And I'm from Liberia. Sorry, my name is Raphael Clark. I'm from Liberia. So being looking at our situation in Liberia, what we now been financed and our government is not paying attention to climate change. What is our position now? How we really stand in that? Are you getting me?
Can you come up again with your question?
Okay, I said, my name is Raphael Clark, and I do join you from Liberia. And my question has to do with this. Looking at climate change that we have been discussing in Africa, and for my country that I live, Liberia, our government is not prioritizing the climate change for now. How do we stand to be doing that? Because the government is not looking at climate change in my country that I live.
All right, let me answer your question, Raphael. So what you have to do, you have to, I don't know who you can reach, but you have to go in steps. You can reach to the government and tell them the importance of climate change and the effects of climate change. You can tell them, I want to start advocating for climate change. You're going to tell them the benefits and everything and the support you need. And you can tell them, or you can show them the examples and the impacts from other countries in Africa. This is what other young people are advocating for climate change. And we also want to see in Liberia, especially from Liberia, we want also to be also advocating for climate change. So we need your support because everything nowadays needs money. And then after money, you're going to need someone to teach you step by step how climate change works nowadays. Thank you so much. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you, Weisman. The final question.
Sorry, I wanted to talk about something. Yeah, that question is, I think it's quite very important. I don't think there is any country in the world where the government prioritizes climate action. I mean, that's why we have activists everywhere. I mean, in the global south, we are demanding for action. Global north, we have activists there to also demanding for action. So for a typical country like Liberia, yes, the government is not focusing on climate change. I think the question there is young people or youth in that country who realize the impact of climate change need to come together and start from somewhere. I think that's what I would say. Because whether we like it or not, we like or we sometimes look at the government like they don't know about the solutions or they don't know what to do. That's a lie. The government actually knows what to do. They know the solutions. They know who to call. They know who to fund them, but they don't want to take action because of personal interest, greed, corruption. They don't care, those kind of things, empathy. So young people in that country, young people in Liberia, I think I know quite a few persons in that country too, and they are actually doing amazing work in STEM. So young people that need to start creating awareness for, I think, a country like that where you feel the government is not taking action, I would say probably there is a very huge gap in awareness. So when everybody begins to talk about these things, the media is talking about it, we're seeing it in newspapers, people are talking about it here and there. I think with time it begins to get traction and it becomes an issue that the government can actually look at. I think that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Favor. Arnold, did you have anything to add on the same?
Yes, just a quick addition to that. Yes, the government might not have prioritized climate action at the moment, but let that not prevent you or discourage you from taking the small actions that you are able to do at your level. Now, maybe you can also start aspiring to even vie for that position and try to make the change, or even support other leaders in the priorities and manifestos. So maybe that is also an aspect of governance. But also we can try reaching out to other stakeholders in climate action. That includes private sector, other civil society organizations, all of them. Everybody actually is doing something about climate action, and there is a possibility of collaborating to make a difference together in one way or another. So keep trying. Let's keep trying. It's not easy for all of us, but we just have to keep going and find places where we can effectively engage.
Thank you so much, Arnold. The final question from Harry. Your hand is raised.
My question is.
Thank you.
My question is. My question is, looking at other countries, what efforts are they putting forth for environmental conservation can also give Africa a way forward. Looking at countries like Costa Rica, they are the countries that are leading in conservation. And how are they managing to do it? Costa Rica pays its citizens for conservation efforts. And my question is, can Africa also go this direction? And if yes, what are the measures or the plans we can put forth to enable this? Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Kalonji, you can answer that question. If you're still with us. Okay, Arnold.
Yes, so thank you for that question. There are countries which are seem to be making very significant progress, and in my thoughts, the most important starting point is the policies that favor climate action, and some of those can include for example, the ban of single-use plastics. They can provide guidelines for use of clean sources of energy, and policies regulate even which kind of products come into a country, whether they are good for the environment and different things. So the starting point is putting in place good policy frameworks that are favorable for the environment and climate action. And you might not be a policy maker. Now that becomes the point where we have to advocate and create awareness and synergize to try to make that happen. It might take a long time, but eventually that is how we can start. That is what I can say. But also, if we are talking about other stakeholders in that country besides the government, then again, that can include organizational policies within your business. For example, where do you source your products from? Do you embrace reusable materials or sustainable materials? For example, a business can put in place restrictions on if a supplier is not packaging their products using sustainable means, then they do not take in those products. So simple guidelines such as those, wherever sector you are working in, can help start making a difference. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Arnold. And that will be the final question for today. In the interest of time, apologies if you have a question that has not yet been answered. Let us continue engaging in the group chat. Since time has long gone, we're going to go ahead and finalize. So indeed, what an insightful session that we have had and conversation that we have had. Thank you so much to our panelists from Arnold, Favor, Kalonji, Wiseman. Thank you so much for your valuable contributions and your bold perspectives. Going to our final session of today, and before we go to that final session, it is good that we also document what it is that we have been doing today. So I'd like to urge all of you to turn on your cameras so that we may take a screenshot just for like a minute, and then we will go ahead and finalize. So if you're in a position to turn on your camera, kindly go ahead and turn on your camera, and let us continue being muted so that we can take a screenshot for the sake of documentation. Thank you so much to those
They are
who
not happy. They are not happy at all.
apparently you guys are not happy. Smile, smile, smile for the pictures. We're moving one section by one section as we're taking the screenshots. In just 1 second, continue turning on your cameras if your camera is not on. And smile, smile for the camera. All right, thank you so much for that.
Hey,
that was
Daniel,
amazing. We move on to.
Just
Sorry,
a minute, Daniel.
Arnold.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot
Yes.
to mention that we have an upcoming session that is aiming to sensitize the youth on the Pact for the Future. And I'm just gonna send a link to the WhatsApp group if you're interested. It's a webinar like this, but focusing on youth and the Pact for the Future. You can already register and engage. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn to be able to learn more on how we can continue engaging on SDGs and how youth can effectively engage. And then lastly, I'll also share a link to our WhatsApp channel where any young person is interested in learning about various activities across the world that are focusing on the SDGs in the group. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arnold. The group remains open for engagement. So continue engaging there with the speakers that we have had today. They're still in the group. So if you have any questions for any specific speaker of the day, kindly direct it to them via the group. To our final session, Samuel will be highlighting the next steps after this session. What is coming next? Why have we been having this entire meeting? And then we will move to our closing and appreciation since time has really moved. So Samuel, go ahead.
All right. First is to thank you all for this great engagement. Yeah, so it's a collective commitments and the next steps towards the ODCC global report. We say the ODCC is the open dialogues on climate change, just like the way we are here, open, and we're just doing some dialogues, but not to just talk, but for actions to get insights all over Africa, all over the world, and now take them where they're supposed to be for the COP, for our voices to be heard there. So, dear comrades and change makers and fellow dreamers, as we come to a close of today's powerful dialogue, I want to take this moment to truly acknowledge what has happened here. We didn't just speak, we united, we imagined, and most importantly, we committed. I'm sure most of the speakers we met before, they're really doing great, like Favor from Nigeria, fellow Diana Wadi, big up. Actually started a session with her last year, and you can see how we've grown. And just like the same, in Gikonge, all over Africa, let's unite and be heard and look for ways to partner because we have the same goal under climate, know how, and every day is a learning day, know how to engage with fellow stakeholders from the government so that we can be able to be heard and make decisions where it's worth it. So from across the 20 countries from Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, DRC, Ethiopia, Zambia, everywhere, young people have gathered today, not just to participate in climate justice conversation, but to lead them. So today we've had you at the grassroots, at the policy tables, and as we continue, we'll continue engaging more. We understand also the issue of gender. We also understand the theme on gender. We also understand the theme on disability. So we'll continue including all. So we've shown the world that Africa is not just waiting, but we're rising every day, and youth are the center. So as we shift from the dialogue to action, this is our collective commitments session, and what we shall share here and what we've already done, we shall shape the ODCC global report as we're supposed to do, and the message we bring to the COP30. So I'll just urge every one of you to ask yourself, what's your commitment after today? Also, the solutions and collaboration that maybe you can do, either the organization, in your county, your countries, everywhere you are, as simple as they may be, what collaborations you can do that can help drive whatever we are talking, the solutions we're speaking about, everything. And how can I keep this momentum alive in your community, in your school, and also in your country? Whether it's an organizer, advocate, innovator, a storyteller, all of us, let's come together and engage and spread this message to the whole Africa that we can adopt justice in climate. And also, as I always say, what Wangari Maathai said, it's just the little things citizens do that makes the difference. My little thing is planting trees. And so I urge all of you to just think of what it's just small. We have the WhatsApp groups. We're trying to also come up with community and now for sustainability. We also put that platform from the speakers and everyone to be there so that we can keep engaging. We can do more webinars like this. We're also working to do some physical dialogues, more from Kenya, more from Africa, as we engage with all other leads. We'll also introduce you to the leads, the ODCC team leads in your countries, so that we can engage from other organizations like Favor and all other organizations, so that we can learn what each other is doing. So maybe you've done any research, any solution toward the topics we are discussing today. Would like you to share the documents so that we can combine the reports. And as we head to seek solutions each and every day, I believe as the most people as youth in Africa will change, will help our countries grow, and will sensitize other youths, and will find better ways to reach a very wide scope. So together we rise. That's what I'll just share for now. And over to the chief moderator, Musembi.
Thank you so much, Samuel, for that. That's an overview of what is going to be happening next from this amazing dialogue that we've had. We will be shaping the ODCC report to COP30. So this has just not been a conversation for the sake of. We are going to be shaping that report. And as Samuel has mentioned, there is plans also to make this conversation physical. So maybe the next conversation that we'll be having will be physically somewhere in Malawi or somewhere in South Africa, wherever it is. So thank you so much for making the time to be in this dialogue. And as we come to a close, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank and appreciate each and every one of you, to our esteemed speakers, from the keynote speakers to the youth spotlights, to the panelists. Your insights and your leadership and passion have been nothing short of inspiring. They've been very inspiring. And to all our participants, we have had over 100 participants from across Africa and the world. Your voices and your energy have made this dialogue truly very powerful. And I'm pretty sure that report is going to be very well. Also, heartfelt appreciation goes to the organizing committee, our moderators for the panel discussions, to myself also as the moderator, and breakout room moderators also, and our partners who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring this vision to life. This gathering is basically a testament of what we can achieve when we come together as young leaders and change makers committed to climate justice. And as we close and come to the end of this space, let us carry forward the momentum. Let us take what we've learned today and turn it into tangible action in our communities and policies and global platforms. There is so many questions that I've been seeing in the group chat. Unfortunately, they won't be able to be answered today in this space, but we're going to continue with the engagement in the group chat. So answer the questions if you're able to, continue engaging as much as possible. Tell us what you would like for us to include in our report also. We're going to send to you a participation survey. Tell us what we would have done better. Unfortunately, the chat did not work. The chat box did not work. We apologize for that. The next time we have such a space, we will make sure we work on that in time. Apologies for that. And on behalf of ODCC Kenya, the Young Leaders Association, I say thank you once again for making this dialogue a success. The journey does not end here. It continues with each and every one of us. I have been Daniel Musembi. I have been the chief moderator for the event today. I am currently the chairperson of Kenyatta University UNESCO, that is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, and I'm glad to be here. Samuel, I hope I have not left anything else.
Yeah, kindly what maybe first is to thank you for the great moderation. It was professional. Really, thank you, and everyone for staying up to this moment. I think we're heading for 4 hours. I've never seen such a long meeting. So all the thanks goes to all of you. And I would like to urge you to stay in that group. We continue engaging. We'll plan a lot of meetings, and according to your topics that we'll do, we break down each and every one better. And I'll also suggest you can also share everything that you're doing in your country, what we may share, what we may learn too, as you learn from us. So share your socials there. And also want to say that I'll send a link. We were doing a survey for plastic pollution. As you know, these years, theme on the environment day and the whole year was a bit plastic pollution in collaboration with Youth for Environment Conservation, which is headed by Favor, who was just the speaker, who is doing much in Nigeria and the whole Africa. We collaborated with several organizations, and it was a survey for those in institutions in campus to share some insights, which will also be taken for the next month. There's a INC 5.2 regarding treaty on plastic pollution. So we'd like to make that platform for more engagements. And thanks to you all, continue sharing your questions there. I'm sure we'll share with the moderators and also the speakers. They'll be able to reach you. So that's all for me. God bless you. God bless you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. Continue sharing your ideas to the panel discussion, not panel discussion, but breakout room moderators. Kindly share those highlights from your discussion so that we may also include them in the report. But anyway, thank you so much, and have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening from wherever you are.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys. Love you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye from Labrador.
Oh, Priscilla, bye-bye.
Bye-bye from Labrador. I'm from Labrador. Bye-bye. This is my country, Labrador. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. You know what
Hello.
you have
From where?
from Labrador.
From Uganda.
From Uganda, huh?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
Nigeria. Yes.
Are you active on LinkedIn?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'll follow you and text you over there. Okay?
Thanks so much. We'll do a lot of sessions like these, and I'll come and travel to all of that place. Come to Kenya too. We are
I'll
happy
bring
to
you to Ghana.
host
Don't
you
worry.
here. Thank you.
I'll host you in
No,
Ghana.
I
I'll
won't
be
bring
waiting.
her to Labrador. I won't bring her to Labrador. You gotta come to Labrador too now.
We'll come. Let's engage more in the group.
That is very good. You must come Labrador to yourself.
Yeah, I'll come. Thanks so much, guys. It was really nice to meet you all.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye from Tanzania.
You're from Tanzania. Who is that from Tanzania?
Krira.
Oh, how are you?
Fine, and you?
How's Tanzania?
Fine. What about you? Where are you?
I'm from Kenya.
Okay, how is Kenya?
Yeah, we're from Kenya. At least we'll collaborate more and do much, yeah?
Okay. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was nice meeting you too. We can talk more
Bye.
in the
Thank
meeting.
you.
Vincent, Vinny, Vincent, Ochieng. Hello, Vinny. Vincent. Okay, sorry. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, bye. You guys don't want to leave? Yeah. It was great.